Today I'm cutting in half one of the all-time classic sneakers, the Air Force Ones, to see what's inside, see how they're built, and how much of this is leather and how good a quality the leather is. And this video is sponsored by Stadium Goods. It's a really great website to buy those hard to find sneakers or new releases or pretty much anything when it comes to style. And they didn't ask me to talk about this, but their website is so much easier to navigate and order from and actually receive your order from compared to a lot of the other sneaker websites out there. And a lot of times people ask, how can I support the channel? A great way to do that is by supporting the sponsors. So if you've got a pair of sneakers, you've been waiting for a reason to buy them from Stadium Goods. It helps support them, helps support the channel, and we're also giving away 3 pairs of these shoes. So stay tuned on how to win them. So now let's go over the information on these shoes. The brand is Nike. The model is the Air Force One 07 Lows. The colorway is white on white. They're made in Vietnam and they retail anywhere from $90 to $130 and even up from there depending on if you're getting some limited edition stuff. And it's Saturday and these are a white sneaker, so technically it's part of the white sneaker series, but not really part of the minimalist white sneaker series. So we won't really be comparing these to the Common Projects and the Koyos and Oliver Cabells and everything that's going to be coming out in the following Saturdays. It just happened to line up perfectly. There's basically 2 questions that I want to answer with this video. The first one is what's inside, how are these built, what's the different layers in them, and the second one is how much leather is in this and what is the quality of leather. Because if you remember to the Air Jordans, the mids, not a lot of this was leather. It's surprising how little leather was actually in the shoe. So we're gonna try to answer that in this video as well. So now let's get to the cutting. Definitely heard the hiss of the air unit, so let's see what's inside. Okay, let's start going through the different layers, starting with the outsole, moving our way up. So the outsole is just a typical rubber outsole. It's a cup sole with the stitching around the outside that is real stitching. You can see it here on the inside. And what's interesting is you've got a little bit of that structure in the heel, this little X crosshatch argyle structure that's going to give you a little bit of extra cushioning compared to the AJ1s that don't have that. Then moving upwards, we've got the foam that surrounds the air unit. And what's interesting is this air unit goes probably 3/4 of the way up the shoe. It's going to give you a little bit more cushioning and it's going to give you a little bit more of that height. And I think that's a big part of the reason why these shoes look so clunky and big is there's so much on the inside here. Then moving up, we've got the structured insole, I guess is what you'd call it. Then the semi-removable insert, which it's not glued in, it's more of like it's almost like a sticky tape that holds it in there so you can remove it and put some different orthotics in if you need to. Then from there, we've got the upper, which is, there's no leather in the liner, it's just a fabric liner with some foam. And the counter, looks like it's just a rubber counter. And the upper, we still don't know about, so let's tear the rest of this apart and kind of identify which parts are leather and what else is going on inside of here. Okay, I got it all torn apart, and surprisingly, this entire upper, almost all of it, is all leather. The only part that's not leather is the tongue, and this is just some fake leather. But that's really surprising because when we did the mid AJ1s, a lot of the panels were fake leather, and this one seems to be all leather. And as for the type of leather, you can tell it's a chrome tanned leather because it's got this bluing on the inside, which is pretty standard. You know, most sneakers and shoes are gonna be made out of chrome tanned leather. So now I guess the question is what type of leather? But before we get to that, let's just look at these other parts. So the cup sole, it's crazy how tall this cup sole is. And what's interesting is when I was tearing this apart, where the stitch was sewn on, it ripped at the stitch instead of where it was glued together. So it's really well bonded together. And then this midsole, the air unit midsole, it's so soft, you know, and I obviously from the cutting aspect, you heard when the air was released. So under pressure, this would be a pretty comfortable midsole. And I think that's why people love these. Part of the reason why these are so loved by a lot of people is they're comfortable and they're stylish. And honestly, they give you an extra bit of height too, which I think a lot of people enjoy. Now the next question is, what type of leather is the upper made out of? You know, what part of the cross section of the hide is this made from? Is it made from the top portion that has the grain structure in it, the most sought after stuff that we're seeing in the Italian brand stuff? Or is it made from that split section that we see a lot of times in a cheaper shoe made by Nike and these other companies, which it's more than likely made from splits, but we'll do the test either way. Actually, before we do that test, to enter to win one of the 3 pairs of the Air Force Ones, all you need to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel and Stadium Goods YouTube channel, follow my Instagram, follow Stadium Goods Instagram, and all those links will be in the description. And the last thing you need to do is comment in this video's comment section what shoe size you are. And as long as you do all that stuff, you'll be entered to win, and we'll announce the winners on July 18th. Now let's get to the test. Very surprising results from that bend and cut test. I need to come up with an official name for that. But if I would have looked at these without cutting them in half, I would have told you that these were a finished split leather from that split portion. But after doing that test, we saw there was just a little bit of grain pattern in the majority of these panels. This panel at the toe looks like it has a grain structure. The panel at the back has a grain structure. And then the toe cap and this panel behind the forefront of the swoosh, it's a little bit questionable. I'm not sure if it actually has a grain pattern, and it even looks a little bit different. So it might be 2 different types of leather, but either way, it's all leather, which is really impressive, especially compared to the AJ1 mids, which were mostly not leather. And that's why I love doing these videos, because I literally am wrong every single video, and I learn so much in every single video, and hopefully you guys do too. So overall, what do I think of these shoes? I think I get the hype behind them. I understand why people love these shoes, because with this thick of a midsole, they're comfortable, they're gonna last a decently long time. The majority of the upper is leather, all but the tongue for the most part. And they're just that classic style. So a good shoe for a decent price, and it's an iconic style. So I get it. Hopefully this was interesting to you guys. Let me know what else you guys wanna see when it comes to these sneakers. And don't forget, enter to win one of the 3 pairs of the Air Force Ones. If you skip to the end of the video, I talked about it earlier on how to win, so go watch the whole video. And if you're considering buying a pair of sneakers, check out Stadium Goods and see if they work for you, because they're a really good company. They've shown faith in my channel by sponsoring this video. So a great way to thank them is by buying your next pair of sneakers on stadiumgoods.com. And thanks for everything you guys do. And I guess we'll go from here. See ya.